The NRSC is reportedly in free fall. The generic ballot just cleared the 2018 wave mark, and the DSCC is already patting itself on the back about its top candidates, which should make every Democrat a little nervous. Senate Pickup Watch. Two big structural things are landing on the same Monday. D plus 6.9 on the generic ballot per Silver Bulletin, and a NOTUS story about NRSC dysfunction that reads less like inside baseball and more like a Senate map that's actually in play.
D plus 6.9 is the first number this cycle that really pokes at my skepticism. I'll give you that. But poking at it is not the same thing as answering it.
So today we're asking which races actually have the precinct math to cash a check that big. Because when the environment turns like this, the DSCC has a habit of misallocating everything. DSCC writes,
New reporting from NOTUS draws Republicans' fears about a wipeout in the midterms into focus, as infighting plagues Senate Republicans, with accusations the NRSC has devolved into dysfunction, become an unserious organization that is woefully unprepared for what is coming down the pike.
NOTUS got a Republican strategist on the record saying the NRSC has never seen so much rank incompetence. That's not Democratic spin. That's a veteran of the party saying their own committee is woefully unprepared. I'll take that. But here's my gripe with the DSCC press release hitching itself to the story. They list North Carolina, Maine, Ohio, and Alaska as places where they've recruited top candidates in battleground races. That's a roster, not a ground game.
If the NRSC dysfunction story means soft Republican incumbents in low-turnout states get less backup money in the fourth quarter, that's the part that matters structurally. That's the concrete thing to watch. But devolved into dysfunction from anonymous sources in March is a very different claim from the NRSC didn't cut a single buy in Nebraska by October.
Right. And when a D plus 6.9 generic ballot lands the same week, that's usually the moment the DSCC stops doing the hard work. Wave environment plus a collapsing opposition, and suddenly it's all self-congratulatory press releases instead of precinct captains. Top candidates in battleground races is the kind of line you write when you think the environment is doing the recruiting for you.
And that DSCC framing still dodges the question I keep asking. Does top candidate mean the right structural fit for a realigned working-class electorate in Ohio or Maine, or just a resume that looks clean in a fundraising email? Because those are not the same thing, and D plus 6.9 doesn't settle it.
From Lowdown Today,
D plus 6.9 clears the 2018 wave benchmark, but Democrats still face a structural Republican map advantage built to absorb that margin. Silver Bulletin, the forecasting publication founded by Nate Silver, recorded a D plus 6.9 congressional generic ballot average on Thursday, up from D plus 5.9 in the prior reading and the furthest Democratic advantage of the cycle won.
Silver Bulletin has the generic ballot at D plus 6.9 as of Thursday. That clears the D plus 6.5 that gave Democrats 40 House seats in 2018. The red state map problem we were arguing about Friday just got a real tailwind. What I'm sitting with now is simple. Does a wave environment bail out weak ground infrastructure in Nebraska and Texas, or does it just make the DSCC's misallocation more expensive when November gets here?
I'll grant you the pressure. D plus 6.9 is the first number this cycle that genuinely stress tests my skepticism. But Republican support at 41.6%, 3 straight months of decline, that's atmospheric. Silver Bulletin's aggregate is nationally weighted, and in low-density red states, the generic ballot has a structural habit of flattering Democrats before the actual electorate shows up and resets everything.
Sure, but Osborne outraised Ricketts in Q1, and Cook still has Nebraska solid R. D plus 6.9 is the first environmental number that could actually force a structural rating like that to move. So the ledger and the forecast are starting to tug on each other. The DSCC better have candidates ready to cash that check, not just press releases calling their recruits top candidates.
That's the mirror question I keep coming back to. If the NRSC really is in freefall, does a soft incumbent in a low-turnout red state just get left hanging by their own campaign arm? Because that's where the real surprise pickup is hiding, not in a marquee race that's already nationalized.
If Senate Pickup Watch helps you keep the map in focus, take a moment to subscribe or leave a review wherever you're listening. It really helps other people find the show. We've put links to every story from today's show in the notes, so if one race or number caught your ear, you can dig in there. That's Senate Pickup Watch for today. This is a Lantern podcast.